Hello, everybody. We are back for the last part of this Money Matters for spiritual entrepreneurs. I am bubbling. I'm truly bubbling today because it's just been a really magical experience listening to Kamala Devi Sharma, Lisa Peterson, Dustin Reichman, Brad Yates, and then Nick True. And we're kind of winding this all up with yours truly, Sandra Pelley, the Sandini, Inner Peace Mentor and Visionary of the Guide Academy. Before we go any further, I just would really like to say thank you so much to each one of you and to the guest speakers as well. And let's step into taking a breath and grounding ourselves into the energy so that we are feeling strong, confident, capable, and open with all the information that's flown through us. So stepping into the energy, feeling your feet grounded on the floor, feeling the roots that are coming down from the soles of your feet, connecting into that earth star, connecting into that divine Mother Earth, feeling very stable. And as Tanya Tucker sings, feeling like that beautiful tree that's strong enough to bend, but it's so solid in the ground. So just imagine yourself as that beautiful tree, strong enough to bend, very secure. Feeling this beautiful alignment as you come up your legs like the trunk of the tree, into your torso like the trunk of the tree, to your arms and hands, your neck and head, and feeling into the energy of those beautiful branches. Connecting with the beautiful divine source. Asking again to be open with no expectations, no limitations, and being okay with the outcome. Asking the mind, body, and soul to do whatever it needs to do to heal in this beautiful space, past, present, and future, in every realm, every dimension, every lineage, every lifetime, all the way down into the DNA and RNA, all the way back into the molecular structure, into our physical bodies, into the master body. I'm just feeling very strong, very powerful in this moment. We've done a lot of work today to bring us to this moment of feeling very empowered, whatever that looks like, whatever that feels like. And so it is. Thank you so much again, everybody, for being here. So my topic is understanding how your inner guidance influence your money matters. And I kind of wanted to just kind of touch base with some of the things that everybody's been saying today, because it's almost like we probably all got together and conspired to bring in this information, but it just goes to show how intricately all of it is tied together, right? Our attachments to money, our poverty vows or our prosperity vows, our relationships, our career, how we stand in the energy of money, of giving and receiving. It's just been a very powerful experience. And recognizing the things that we want. I think that's probably one of the most clear things that's come through, is really recognizing that if we don't have a vision, if we don't have a dream or a desire, a goal, then what do we do? Where are we going? We're drifting aimlessly, just like Brad was saying just recently. I believe Nick Chu said it as well too. We're just drifting aimlessly. We're just plodding our way through our life, and that no longer serves some of us. I know for myself, back in 2016, I had a huge epiphany around money. I'm just going to share that screen with you. Let me bring it up here. Actually, I want to share with you first two what I think are powerful quotes. One from the beautiful Marilyn Aloria. You are only dreaming from what you think you can get. Okay, I'm going to say that again. You're only dreaming from what you think you can get. And I'm going to come back around to that towards the end. And then mine is, what if your vision is bigger, just waiting to be seen? What if your vision is bigger, just waiting to be seen? Very powerful. as I was mentioning, I started to really shift with my energy with this around money back in 2016. And comically enough, we just purchased a van, and we had a van back in 2016 as well. And a video really changed my perception back then. And that video, I'm just going to share a little clip of that as well, because it was the beautiful Dee Wallace. Listen carefully to what she's going to say. I'm only going to run about 20 seconds of it here, if that.
Money doesn't make the world go around. Do you see how much it's doing down there? It's kind of limp, actually. Consciousness and your beliefs and your thoughts about money can make the world go around for you.
Wow, hey? So this is about a 10, 11-minute video, and I remember watching this back in 2016, and I was very, very ready to hear what she had to say. It's just like all of you are here, you're ready to hear whatever parts of it that you heard during this event. You were ready to hear that, whether it was like, oh, I need to have a vision. Oh, I need to change my mindset around money. Oh, it's stuff around my family or relationships, all these bits and pieces that come together. So, what's happening with that money portion of that is that it's breaking the old habits, and like I said, that whatever happened for me when I watched that video, you may have experienced some of that yourself here today, and now it's putting that new belief into practice and breaking those old habits, those old ways of thinking. My husband used to say, it's just money, and I think he had the right words, but we used to say, it's just money, so let's spend it. And the actual in reality, it got us into a lot of trouble, got us into a lot of debt. As I mentioned, each of these guest speakers have been so potent and so valuable to me and have brought me forward to this and to my state of thinking now. What's happened with that is that in my own communities, I am now really honing in on how to help people with each of these bits and pieces. And when we talk about the inner guidance, it's actually very generational. And when I talk about generational, there's multiple generations who are affecting our way of thinking. In fact, it goes back to roughly 12 generations for sure. And that's when we go back 12 generations, if you take a look at the ancestral mathematics here, in the order to be born, you needed, first of all, 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great grandparents, and it literally goes down. And in 12 generations, there's actually 4,094, almost 4,100 people over 400 years have been influencing your DNA, have been influencing your energy, your habits, so many things. There's been a huge shift in energy over these recent years, over the last 200 years, because we've gone from, well, I'm not sure if 400 years ago was caveman, but it was definitely a long time ago, because 400, even if we're living 50 years back then, that's still a significant chunk of time. Obviously, cavemen go back even further, but even back in caveman age, it was the men who went out and did things. So I bless the men who've been here watching this or who've been taking part as guest speakers, and they're forward thinking. Like, I just love how forward thinking each of these gentlemen are. So when we talk about this and the generational stuff, what we're talking about is that it's the habits that, bear with me here. I'm going to use it for instance. My mother-in-law is constantly telling my husband that, oh, you're going to have sore knees. It runs in the family. I've got sore knees. My dad had sore knees. My great-grandfather had sore knees. And that is like, it drives me up the wall, because it's like, why are you buying into that? Why are you buying into that kind of thinking, right? It's way more powerful to start to being a sovereign being and stand in your power and start to understand how capable you are of healing. I say this because I know that I've done a healing around my own personal health with plantar fasciitis. I honestly thought that the plantar fasciitis came from my dad's side. Now, if you don't know what that is, basically it is a quite a severe pain in the arch of your foot that really hurts when you walk, when you walk, period, or when you stand. So anyway, I was doing this generational healing. I went back in my generations to heal this. And I, instead of just assuming it was my dad's generation, I went back in that and I asked to go back in the direction that this was. And it actually ended up being on my mother's side. And it actually ended up being her, I guess it would probably be her great great uncle. So that was probably what, 3, 4 generations back from myself already. And so I did a healing around this energy, around this great 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 uncle of mine. And in all honesty, I have not ever had plantar fasciitis since then. And I did this back in 2017. So for the last 5 years, I have not had any pain in my feet around plantar fasciitis. Believe me, I suffered with it hugely, hugely for decades. The only time I didn't suffer with it in those decades before I healed it is when I dislocated my pelvis. And I was literally off my feet for 2 years, for a full year. Also, too, it's those habits. Remember, I was saying how, you know, the cavemen, the men were the breadwinners. As we came through the ages, the centuries, it was the men that went off to war. Women stayed home and took care of this. There are definitely cultures as well as countries who and where women have played a bigger role. The indigenous people are a prime example of that. You know, there's a country where the indigenous women let the men know when it's time to go out and gather this or gather that, and when it's time to let that ecosystem relax and regrowth and let that reproduce again. So women have had a very big role in some of this, and we're starting to really step up again in our energy with regards to how we're presenting ourselves to the world. Again, part of these habits that we're breaking are generational. So for instance, in my family, my dad worked 24/7. When he wasn't working for the railroad, he was working at a gas station. I mean, I worked for the railroad when I grew up. It was a very lucrative job that I made really good money. It actually surprised me once I got into that job that my dad actually went and got a second job. So I don't know what was going on there, but there was some sort of concept probably coming from the 30s, 40s, that period of time that people really went through some very difficult hardships. And that is that mindset still, that working hard, getting stuff on the table, making sure that we have plenty. The Great Depression, thank you so much, Pauline. Yes, the Great Depression. So even this generation that we're living, we may have some of that Great Depression type of mentality coming into this. We've seen through this whole event today how different parts of ourselves are very much affected by the things that are going on around us. I mentioned earlier too about relationships, that my husband, he works very, very hard. What happened is with these two vans, the 2016 and the 2022, it's so comical because when you put those numbers together, August 4th, 2019 and August 6th, 2022, they add up to a 3 for the first one and a 2 for the second one. And that 3 is all about the past, present, and future and bringing all those parts of our lives together. And then 2, buying this van now, it's all about finding balance now. Like we're kind of shifting into the energy. It's just like Nick said, we're no longer at that point where we're just muddling through, hoping to have money for this paycheck or to do this or do that. We actually have a goal. We have a vision in mind. We're back in the town where we had started for a number of years, but we're back here now, and we have a goal in mind of what we want to accomplish, what we want to do. However, having said that, my husband is, in my mind, overworking. He's working overtime. He's out there. He's bringing in the money, and we do have a goal for that money. So it's kind of like this double-edged sword. Our daughter's getting married this year. So a lot of this money has gone towards paying for the wedding. In the past, we would never have been able to pay for a wedding. We would never have been able to do it without putting it on the credit card. We would never have been able to do anything after that because of all the credit card debt. I mean, a lot of you know possibly what a wedding costs, right? my mindset has shifted so much in these last 6 years, and especially in this last year around money, that it's really quite fascinating. Uh, Also, too, we're talking about the inner guidance. So that inner guidance is being affected generational. The inner guidance is being affected by humanity as well, what's going on in the world, like the Great Depression. And then it's also affected by the things that we had happen as a child. Expectations, limiting beliefs, those were spoken about. Nick too was right on board with that. Talking about, well, we were told to go to school, we were told to buy a house, we were told we should go into this career. Those are such huge expectations. The basis of what I offer is that expectations are actually the biggest problem in our life. They truly are. Expectations is when we have, actually, you know what? I'm going to bring up the slide that shows you what expectations are, because I've got it written down here. That would be better than me trying to fumble my way through that. So expectations, it's the act or state of expecting, to wait in expectation. It's the act or state of looking forward to or anticipating. Something is expected, a thing looked forward to. What I mean by that is that when we put in a phone call to somebody, we expect them to return the call. If they haven't picked it up, we expect them to return the call. If we are doing something for somebody, how often have we expected them to do something for ourselves in return, right? We tend to be givers rather than receivers. Expectations have started even before conception. Parents expected to get pregnant. Baby is expected to be born in 40 weeks. The baby is expected to be healthy. The baby is expected to be able to crawl, walk, talk, do up buttons, do up laces, do up zippers. It goes on and on and on, right up until what Nick True was saying about how, getting married, it's an expectation. Even who we're marrying, the gender that we're marrying, has been an expectation for many of us. So expectations is a huge, huge piece of what I bring to the table. So when I talk about the inner guidance, I'm actually talking about that little you, that childlike version of yourself. And what I mean by that is that it's become really apparent to me by working with the people that I work with, is that we are often responding to situations as that child still. Okay, so I'm going to say that again. We often respond to situations from that child's point of view still. That's that expectation that's coming up. That's that anger that's possibly coming up, or fear that's coming up. And those are the things that are hindering us. So how does this relate to money? As mentioned through many of the different people here today, it's like, for myself, my dad was the breadwinner. So I always saw my mom sitting at home. And then I would hear my dad come home and say, "You're doing nothing all day. What are you doing?" Right? And that kind of followed suit with my husband when I married him. I kind of bought into the same thing. It took a little bit for me to move from that I need to be out working a brick and mortar type of job, a 9 to 5 type of job, working for somebody else. It took me a little while to break that cycle. I'm the first one in my family to do that, though. So the generations behind me ideally will help them. Coming back to that child portion, I'm going to make this a little bit simpler. Who here in the chat, if you guys don't mind, do you know what I'm talking about when I say the little you, or the inner child, or the small self? Because there's just a couple of you that are on camera that I can see. So write yes or no, you know what I'm talking about with regards to this guide. Okay. Because this guide is our most intimate guide. It's the part of us that directs everything that we do. We've also heard Lisa Peterson speak about the solar plexus. So the solar plexus is that stomach area where it's the ocean of emotion. So when you're thinking about the ocean of emotion, we have a choice. We can either step into our life or fall back into fear or anxiety. Our little you takes that on quite seriously because they're over dramatic. They'll either really jump in or really fall back and be scared of something, right? And it's why people are possibly scared to get on planes or scared for snakes or scared about thunder and lightning. It's because somebody in their life has been making a big deal possibly about these things in their life. And it's brought these fears into them, or they experienced somebody else having something happen around them around these events as well. So I'm going to ask you to do something really, really fairly simple right now, and that is to ask to connect with your little you, and that's that inner guidance. So who's I know half my audience here, so I know that some of you are definitely very familiar with connecting with your little yous and your guides, your spirit guides. So when I say I'd like you to connect with your little you, it truly is as simple as that. Okay, it truly is as simple as saying I'd like to connect with my childlike self of myself. I'd like to connect with my little you. I'd like to connect with my inner self, whatever it is that you call the little Ruth, maybe the little Pauline. Okay, so we're just going to close our eyes for a minute, take a breath, and ask to connect with that small version of yourself. And what is the first thing you sense or feel or see? Now, for some of you, it's very easy. And there's no judgment if you're finding it difficult, okay? Write in the chat what you experienced there. If you are unsure, I would love for you to make a comment. I will love to help you, okay? This portion of yourself, this little you, is neglected. I'm just going to play it, say it straight out for you guys. Is so neglected. Is so neglected. And for myself, in 2015, I started to say that I am open mantra, and you guys have heard it for almost before every single speaker today. That I am open mantra, I started to say that in 2015, and I really connected with that in a very profound way in 2016. I really started to understand what that meant, to be have no expectations, to have no limitations, to be okay with the outcome. If you're not okay with the outcome, it is likely because you have expectations. Thank you, Janice, for your reply there. She said she asked to connect with her mini me, and she got laughter from the little me. So she got this sense of hearing. Sometimes it's a feeling. Sometimes you get a visual, maybe of a photograph of you as a child. Sometimes it's a color that you might get. But that little you is very, very important. In 2017, I started to say to myself that I loved myself. I have another mantra. I said it at the very beginning of this whole day. I said the I am love mantra when we connected with our little yous there. And that little you has been riding this beautiful energy wave throughout the day in that I am love, I am open. So what I'd like for you guys to do is to close your eyes again and feel into the energy of that little you, that part of yourself. Maybe even hug yourself. There's no judgment at all. Just feel into the energy of embracing that little you portion of yourself, that childlike version of yourself. Maybe imagine they're on your lap, and listen to my words and feel the energy that you're saying them to yourself too. I am love. I am loved. I am loving. I am lovable. I love me. I am divine love. in the comments, in the chat, please feel free to express what came up for you there. How did that feel? What were you feeling there? I love seeing what I'm seeing in the comments in the feed over on Facebook. Tina says that hers is jumping up and down with excitement. Tina's is Cam's totally in there too. What are you guys feeling when you're connecting with that little you? What's coming up when you're embracing and saying that I am love? Okay, and it's okay if there's not a good emotion. If it's a different type of emotion, if it's sadness or grief or fear, acknowledge that. Acknowledge that, okay? Because this is really important pieces. This piece that I'm telling you about, that's that inner guidance. That's that part that might be part of the reason that's holding you back from making more money. I know for myself, in 2015, I didn't love myself. In 2016, I started to be open a lot more to the possibilities because of the I am open with no expectations, no limitations, and being okay with the outcome. In 2017, when I started to say this, I am love mantra to myself, it totally changed me. I said this every day on a daily basis. I love that, Ruth. It made me rock back and forth. Janice was saying I was sitting on a rock outcrop with my little me and a bunch of cartoon characters came by and they were watching a red sun together. Beautiful. Tina wrote, warm and energetic hugging. So magical. So magical. Beautiful. This portion of yourself is the part that everybody out there can actually feel at a subconscious level. I love what you wrote, Maurice. I am just aware of presence, but can't vocalize anything. It tends to make me feel open, no gender. Beautiful. I love that. You're connecting in with that soul energy, Maurice. There is no gender to energy. That was beautiful. What I was saying about what other people can feel at a subconscious level is how you feel about yourself. If you are unable to love yourself, and I'm not saying that you have to love yourself unconditionally, honestly. I spent the first 5 years of reciting this mantra to myself, breathing my way through the mantra, I am love, from 2017 till the beginning of 2022. I was saying this. And it was only when I got into 2022 that I realized that I was still unable to love myself unconditionally. There were still parts of myself that I wasn't loving unconditionally. And that's okay. We're human. We're human. The point though is to start to love yourself on all the other levels, right? And if you can't love yourself unconditionally physically, then do so in your heart energy. Do so with your soul. Ask your soul for guidance. How does this work around money? When I am loving myself, when I am connecting in, just like Maurice did with that soul energy, that just, I can just feel this magical presence of being. Just feel that for a minute, right? So let's go now back into that solar plexus chakra, that belly energy, that ocean of emotion. Okay? Step into your life. Take a moment to actually visualize that that's what you're doing. Close your eyes if you like, and just imagine that you're stepping into your life. And feel that beautiful presence that Maurice was mentioning. Feel into the energy of what it feels like to step into your life. Some of you may feel that even within your body, like your hair, your face, which is what's happening on your face. And imagine the vision that you've already been starting to create throughout the day is ahead of you and is touchable. It's tangible. Step into that. Now feel what it feels like to be in this whole group doing that. What does that feel like? Write it in the comments, write it in the chat. I know I feel vibrating. That's not even a word, but I feel vibrating. What I want you to experience now, we'll go and witness, okay? So closing your eyes, what I'd love for you to do is to feel again that energy of that connecting. Whether you have a vision or not, you know that you want to feel empowered, you know that you want to feel abundant, whatever it is, you know that that's going to make you feel good. So come back to that center of the belly, and waver over to that other side that's about fear and anxiety. And feel what that feels like. It may feel heavier. I know I got this weird feeling in my throat. I've got this weird feeling in my belly. So come back to center. Take a cleansing breath. Then another one. And be in acknowledgement and gratitude for witnessing that fear, that heavier feeling, and make a choice to step into your life again. Invite that little you to tug your hand, if you will, back into the joy, back into the excitement, back into something that feels better. If you're unaware of what joy feels like, back into that part that feels better. What does that feel like? Does it feel like you're actually leaning over physically into that? I want to feel this way. So when we think about how we're approaching our lives on a daily basis, oftentimes in the morning we're getting up and we may not even have a thought about anything good. We might be having I won't say misguided thoughts, but thoughts that are manifesting what our day is going to be like. I mention this because every morning in my morning pages, I write that it's a beautiful day. When I write that, it honestly, it doesn't really matter what happens during the day, even if it's something that's tragic. How I step into that is already going to be better than if I started the day out in a far more negative mood. If I woke up going, oh my gosh, it's so cold here now. Oh, I hate that the winter's coming. Like, just feel the energy, the change, the difference in that, right? When you choose to make a proactive thought, that proactive thoughts are helping to move you through the day. If we are tossing and turning during the night, thinking about our bills, our debt, then that whole energy is affecting us through the day. If we have expectations around money coming to us or a bill coming in, that's affecting us, affecting our day. If you add to that the things that we've had happen to us as children, then those are affecting us as well. When you are actively stepping into making a difference in your life, The best way to do that is to actively start to change your way of thinking, change your mindset. That has been clear throughout all of today. I believe every single speaker has spoken in some manner about changing your mindset. And I really want to hone in on that. It's so interesting because my throat chakra just wants to keep acting up here. Who here is having difficulty speaking their truth to themselves? I know that's a broad, wide open question, and it might be scary to go, hey, yeah, that's me. That's okay. Because as long as you can see that, as long as you can feel that, that's all that matters. Because when we're talking about speaking our personal truth, that's allowing that small, younger version of ourselves to have a voice, to say, I want to be loved, to say, I want to have money, to say that I absolutely love drawing, except that somebody said something to me when I was a child and it scared me and now I don't want to draw. This part of this inner guidance is so very, very important. Shifting mindset is very important. Stepping into the energy of what we want is very important. For the most part is how do we want to feel? And then as Nick said, getting more specific. Brad said something about what's that money? What's that level of money that you want? It was really interesting because as I was listening to that, I believe I mentioned with somebody today that I used to say, I only need $1 million. Well, $1 million really isn't that much money when you have bigger plans. So when I say when you have bigger plans, we're all possibly entrepreneurs to some degree or leaning towards that, having abundance financially coming in. When I say stuff about money now, I'm realizing that I want way more than $1 million because I want to have a scholarship program in my program that I'm helping people. I want to be able to travel to different places and speak on different stages. I want to be able to, purchase the rental of those halls to bring people in, all these little bits and pieces. $1 million, that's not going to cut it anymore. So when Brad was feeling into the energy of what do you want for money, I know for myself, as I sat there, I imagined that money. And my first inclination was like, I want millions. And then this part of me was like, millions? That's unfathomable. That's such a number that to me, I can't even grasp the concept of having millions of dollars. So what I did, and this is the important part, what I did is I started to shift in that, okay, I know I want more than $1 million, and I can't wrap my head around what millions looks like or feels like, but I am so ready and willing to step into the energy of moving in that direction. So that's what I did. That's really important. Okay. Notice I'm moving in a direction. I'm forward moving. Instead of shutting it down, I'm moving in that direction. So very, very powerful. Okay. So when we come back to that screen that you're only dreaming from what you think you can get, I shifted that. I no longer think that I can get $1 million. I want to think that I can get way more than that. That's where my thing come in there at the bottom. What if your vision is bigger, just waiting to be seen? Very, very powerful. I changed my life with the I am open and the I am love mantra. They were the basis of moving me forward. They were the things that opened me up to the possibilities that were out there. When I started to understand where expectations were occurring in my life, I was actually able to rewrite that and let go of that expectation, and then break the habits that I had around them. Also, the limiting beliefs. I spoke about one of them around health. Breaking the habit instead of stepping into that change. My hands are on fire talking about this too. And that's a talisman for me. When I know my hands are on fire, it's like the divine guidance that's coming through right now. It's powerful information, right? That part about having no limitations, Brad, man, when he was tapping there, it was about tapping into that potential that you have, really truly understanding the strength of who you are. How do you get there? I'd like to tell you guys that it's that stepping into the I am open and the I am love mantra. I know how life-changing this can be. When you are finding that there's hiccups in the road and you don't seem to be moving forward, even though you feel like you have all the information, but there's something holding you back, it's because of that inner guidance. It's because of those expectations that have been brought upon you from childhood and before, generational, even past lives. It's also too that stepping into the energy of starting to love yourself. I can pretty well guarantee you guys that if each one of you chose to say the I am open and the I am love mantra for the next 21 days, 2 or 3 times a day, your life would change. I know that with 100% certainty that your life would change. It would begin to move you in a different direction. Okay? I don't know that there's a whole lot more that I can say around that, except that I I know that sometimes it's the accountability that we need, and I'm here for you guys. Okay? We connected in with our little yous. We felt into the energy of who they were. Uh, what I would love for you to do is let's breathe our way through the I am open and the I am love mantra one more time. I just want you guys to feel that again so that you can feel what it's doing to your energy. So I am open. With no expectations, no limitations, and I'm okay with the outcome. I am love. I am loved. I am loving. I am lovable. I love me. I am divine love. If you're interested in more of this, I honestly, for those of you who've been a part of every single one of the groundings I've done today, everything that I do is divinely guided. It's channeled. I do meditations that help you to connect with your little you. I do meditations that help you to work through expectations. I have conversations with you that help you to work through those expectations and limiting beliefs and breaking those habits. My book, The Spiritual How-To, is a really good foundational piece to that. I have a program, The Spiritual How-To, as well. In fact, there's one coming up here right away. I also have a ton of stuff as well on YouTube. There's an 8-day challenge there for meeting your guides if you want to know more about your little you. Many of you have taken me up on that opportunity of the book that I offered in the 5 steps to getting out of your own way. I think that's very powerful. I'll put it again here in the chat. That I guess that pretty well sums it up. I mean, short of doing a full process here, which we definitely don't have the time for, um, I leave you in your little you's hands. Your that intimate guide, that inner guidance, has been directing you your entire life, whether it's to hinder you or whether it's been to attempt to move you forward. That little you has really been there for you. And it's time to start paying attention. And if there is resistance coming up, it is because you've got an expectation somewhere and it's starting to break that old habit. If you're interested in working with me, then I'm definitely interested in having a conversation. Working with me takes on many different forms. Okay. Nobody has any questions about how this little you affects you? Okay, then let's do the wind up ceremony.